Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to today's webinar, The Next Wave of DAM, the Age of Generative AI, when content is data. Before we get started, I'd like to mention a few ways you can engage with us throughout this session. First, please submit any questions you have in the Q&A box. Based on time, we will answer some at the end of the session, or we'd be happy to follow up with you after the session concludes. Second, keep an eye out for a poll. We'd love to gauge where you are in your AI and generative AI journey. And lastly, at the end, if you can please make sure to fill out the survey that will appear at the conclusion of the session. We'd love to get your feedback on how you feel the session went today. Filling out that survey will allow us to follow up and then provide a link to a readiness assessment that we'll provide through this process. So let's get into it. Picture this, you're standing in the middle of Times Square on New Year's Eve. There's a sea of people and a million lights. It's a flood of data and content everywhere. Now, here's the catch. You have to remember every conversation, every sign, and every billboard, and understand it, and remember it, and use it. But here's the thing. That's what businesses and us practitioners are dealing with every single day. We're creating a ton of content while also navigating through millions of other information sources. And we're expected to understand it, use it, and transform with it all at once. And that can be overwhelming. But there are tools available to us to not only capture this knowledge, but also harness its power. Today, we're going to go on a journey into the world of AI, and we're going to see how it's completely changing the game in digital asset management. We're going to go from feeling totally lost in that Times Square to mastering its complexity. Before we go any further, let's do a quick poll right here. Select all the answers that apply to your business. How are you currently using generative AI in your content operations? Go ahead and select all that apply. Okay, starting to get answers in. Looking good. Really interesting results and a nice mixture of answers from really across the globe. And you can see where you are compared to some of your counterparts in different businesses and different industries. And it's really important as we continue to understand and see how AI is affecting all of our businesses is to understand where we are in that process. Today, we're going to talk about how the role of DAM is changing and how forward-leaning organizations are using AI to be able to think about content as data, not just a store for finished assets or a work in progress. Now, this shift in thinking elevates issues of safety and data governance. So while it's important to use the benefits of this new technology, we must also deal with risks and challenges head on. And this is especially true for businesses with a zero tolerance or a risk-averse policy toward AI in the first place. But companies like Aprimo understand it's our job to innovate and expand AI capabilities thoughtfully and responsibly while sticking to ethical principles like transparency, fairness, and accountability, while also helping customers update, transform, and use these new capabilities. There we go. So my name is Jim Cavito, and working with my colleague Ken Zordani from our partner Avyre, we will guide you through this conversation today. To provide a bit of background, I've been working in the consulting, marketing, and content operations space for over 25 years now. In the mid-90s, I was part of an organization that dreamed up and built one of the first enterprise dams before it even hit the market. Currently, I lead the global solutions organization at Aprimo, where I get to talk with top business leaders about the struggles they face when it comes to handling, assessing, utilizing, and recycling content. And trust me, these challenges have only grown over the last decade, with content and channel demands skyrocketing to the point where making decisions and figuring out the next step is almost paralyzing. Ken, tell the audience a bit about you and Avyre.
Sure, thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. The VP of Sales, Ken Zordani here at Avyre, and also managing our ISV partnerships. We've really been in the DAM space for nearly 2 decades. I would even say before DAM was an acronym. So over the last 20 plus years, we have seen quite a lot in the DAM space. As Aprimo's Partner of the Year 2 years in a row, we are a full service agency specializing in vendor selection, migrations, activations, building connectors. But as we kind of zero into this topic of AI, the rate of change has been extremely interesting, just simply the past 6 months, even for us kind of with boots on the ground with helping clients adopt and deploy AI technology. So the transformation piece is mind-blowing. So I would also say there's pretty significant gap of how our clients adopt it as well.
That's right, Ken. The root of that disconnect or that gap runs extremely deep, and this slide is likely going to hit home with a lot of you on the call today. We're talking about content and business operations working in silos, multiple centralized hubs to manage content, which seems a little bit like an oxymoron. No set taxonomy or corporate data standards. And let's not forget about ubiquitous adoption of simple content creation tools that contributed to the mountain of chaos or mountain of content waste we have today. And this is really what I call content chaos 1.0. This chaos puts a ton of pressure on content teams and leaders, making it almost impossible for us to think strategically. We end up missing out on chances for growth and effective collaboration. We get stuck in intricate and convoluted workflows and integrations. It becomes a struggle to find, refine, and share the most relevant and on-brand content. We can't maximize the value of content beyond a single use in most cases. Basically, we can't create a setting that promotes sustainable content operations to manage, assess, and capitalize on our content. And if we didn't have enough problems already, now enter generative AI to the mix, or chaos 2.0, as I like to call it. And while this chaos will be our new normal, let's be clear, the promise of AI is amazing. It's awesome. AI will unlock large-scale omni-channel personalization, something we've been talking about for decades in marketing. AI will democratize content creation processes, accelerating innovation and the speed to launch new experiences. AI will unlock how you scale success by adapting successful experiences to new market segments, products, and geographies. And AI will upend marketing budgets by shifting spend bottlenecks away from creative teams and agencies into automated content creation tools, automatic programmatic advertising, real-time personalization at scale, chatbots, copywriting assistants, and on and on and on. But all of this needs to be baked into your content strategy. And while AI isn't perfect, it does introduce incredible efficiency gains to your users and can help you get a leg up on your competition. Digital asset management has changed a lot since the mid-90s when I first got into the space. It used to just be about managing, storing, and finding content in a single place. Now today, most organizations and most DAM providers want to leverage the DAM to manage the entire lifecycle of content, from creation to usage and expiration more holistically. But now, and this is something that Aprimo has been talking about for years, DAMs are being asked to be more prescriptive. Instead of just reacting to what's needed, that means thinking about content planning and strategy from the beginning and making it a key purpose of the DAM in the first place. It helps to assemble and reuse content quickly and also allows you to tackle specific industry challenges like around modular content, for instance. But today, even that approach is starting to feel a little bit like a footnote in history, as the new trend is moving toward predictive and generative capabilities. This new approach uses deep content data, context, and processes to offer better experiences downstream and deeper insights moving forward. To automatically create personalized experiences across all channels at large scale, you need more data and intelligent automation. Through this process, data is collected in smarter, more actionable ways. Intelligent DAMs give better suggestions to end users, managing content across multiple different platforms, including publishing, assembling, modifying, and expiring content in third-party systems, and helps brands automate the regular or routine processes fully. This way, people can be strategic, focusing more on strategy and creativity in the first place. So this really brings us to the root of the conversation today. Why are we at Aprimo so excited about the future leveraging generative AI? And while many of the tools we are familiar with and what most people think about, for us, it's because of what you see on this slide. Content has turned into big data because of the power of generative AI in the first place. Every executive, everywhere is being asked by their board, shareholders, employees, and customers how they plan to leverage the power of generative AI to make things better for them. Let's take a look at the product image in the middle of this slide. All of that data on the left is information related to this product. It doesn't matter if you're in consumer goods, life sciences, retail, finance, technology, museums, higher education, or any other industry. We all have products and we all have a ton of data related to those products, And that data can be generated in the DAM just by reading or inferring information from the asset itself. And then that generated data can then be used to automate, improve, drive, and enhance all the downstream systems on the right side of this screen to improve the systems, the people, the infrastructure, and the outputs that need that content and information. And then all that data can feed back into the asset record and drive more improvements or enhancements over time. And remember, all this data can now be used to train the generative AI solutions to create more accurate, on-brand, safe results. The only way that organizations can make the most of this amount of data and potential is through AI. Humans alone could never achieve that same level of capability or speed. But when humans are assisted by ethically applied and well thought out AI, incredible things can happen. The content intelligence you get from a single asset now and its data provides real opportunities to act smarter and faster when delivering meaningful content experiences to market. Look, AI is not new. It's been part of our technological fabric for years, blending into our daily business activities. Many companies and providers, including Aprimo, have been using AI in different ways for almost a decade. Features like smart content tagging, customized to specific business or industry requirements, speech to text, language detection, content recommendations, and data inheritance from related assets should be considered standard requirements in DAMs today. But we're on the precipice of this new frontier that will boost our current AI capabilities and reveal new opportunities for companies to use AI in their big data models. Modern capabilities like predictive metadata will be able to automatically generate significantly more metadata at the point of ingestion of the assets, allowing organizations to create much denser metadata capacity without the typical human friction associated with more and more metadata fields. And then concepts like semantic search will eliminate the current complexities of search. Even with more and more metadata capacity today, most searching is still based on metadata understanding of the user. And while there are facilities for synonym development and fuzzy logic that can make searching more flexible and intuitive, that user understanding of metadata creates incredible friction. Semantic search opens up a whole new world of natural language searching for as well as how others, by understanding how a person is searching for content, understanding the meaning of what they're searching for, how others are searching at the exact same time, and then creating alignment between the context of that search and the assets, whether the words that are actually used in the search itself is actually being included in the metadata on the asset. So these things combined start to create this metadata density around assets that can then be used to drive all of those downstream systems. Between predictive metadata and semantic search, the idea of content starting to manage itself becomes very, very real. And the current limitations of metadata are all but eliminated. And concepts like content recommendations to users takes on a whole new meaning and power for organizations and for their use cases around the DAM. Now, Ken will bring this message to life and talk about the experience of building out this model in real life and what it actually takes to get there. Ken?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. When we are kind of evaluating a lot of our customers that we have deployed over this last year, roughly 2 to 3 dozen, our publishing customer most recently deployed with Aprimo, they are very similar in their complexity around how are we adopting AI, but where's our core DAM foundation? Moving from really that legacy solution to Aprimo, right? And this is what I assume a lot of clients are asking now is our DAM in the right spot? And how can we leverage this technology that, Jim, you and I are talking about today? And the benefits that can be tremendous for our business. So a little bit of context on our publishing client, which you're going to hear about here more in the next few weeks. They have nearly 3 million objects in this system, very complex objects. And with most of that, many systems would come to a crawl. So how do you organize it in an intelligent way to deliver an expected result and experience for their users? And that kind of differentiator with Aprimo is those asset level permissions and the innovation that Aprimo is driving for them as a business. They did go through a very extensive vendor search that we helped them with as their kind of strategic partner, thus leading them to Aprimo ultimately. But these kind of massive objects that they're bringing in from multiple master data systems, just imagine one object is hundreds of gigs large with thousands of images, with author images, videos, audiobooks, all associated and inherited across that package, all within Aprimo, right? They're searching by ISBN numbers, authors, titles. So it's a very complex scenario web. So when we look at the data interoperability of how Aprimo handles it, the relationships, the inheritance, how they're syndicating to their marketplaces like Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and other digital channels, the win of why we brought this use case to the webinar today is they went from being able to, from that end-to-end process taking multiple weeks to doing it nightly now. From a C-suite perspective, that is a monumental win. That expectations now are, can we get it done even faster and hourly? What are our updates, right? And a lot of that's driven by intelligence and automation. But the big piece is they started and crafted what is our damn foundation? How are we going to establish what our strategy is, the technology that we need to integrate to, and the core stakeholders to make that decision? So they really did take a lot of significant time to evaluate what the strategy is and where AI can be leveraged throughout their life cycle. I would say is most right now, it's kind of tempering the waters. Is our damn foundation on fire and we literally can't get adoption to, yes, we're getting search, but we have no idea how to start with AI. So it's a very interesting space to say the least. I would say that the data interoperability that they have with title management, CRM, CMS, and other systems really empower their capabilities inside of Aprimo. And they're at that early stage, I think, with many clients are we using smart tags? Are we using the content creator? Many of those bullet points that Jim talked to on the previous slide to really empower their users and drive their business. So now that they've got that kind of solid foundation and massive user adoption, which can be troubling when you're looking at a complete disruption of process and culture at a company with moving from that legacy dam, how do we drive additional value, but most importantly, reduce risk? Whenever you bring in AI, everyone's looking at, is this the right thing to do? How do we measure the metrics of this feature? And is it actually driving conversions for our product, whether it's a book, a soda can, a t-shirt, an automobile, in any other verticals that you're thinking or that you're coming to the technology space, like we need to measure that. So it's great to pull all this forward, but ultimately, how are we measuring it against? How are we tracking it? And what is kind of that checklist? So when we look at, if you want to go ahead and move to the next slide for me, Jim. When we look at and engaging with our customers, right, we are trying to understand where they're coming to us from a partnership perspective in their DAM practice. As I mentioned before, some really immature in DAM, and some their DAM house is on fire for a multitude of reasons, right? Bad data, user adoption, loss of key employees, maybe low executive support. They just don't see the value in a glorified repository, or even potentially friction with IT. They don't want to support the DAM practice or that kind of content lifecycle. So as you look at kind of performing a self-evaluation, how is your DAM foundation or program, to how can we adopt all these great features that are emerging now around AI? We kind of categorize them in 5 main buckets. And we're going to make available this checklist so you can kind of do that self-assessment, and welcome to engage you if you kind of need some help and support in that process. So we really look at it from plan, process, and preparation. Who are your content stewards? And it may be in brand and product, in legal, right? Your creative or marketing or product teams. Who are the SMEs? Do they know your data? How clean is that data? Where is that data source coming from? Can we leverage it, right? Can we map it into those systems so we're gaining automation and interoperability? Do we know what our processes are? Can we use AI to help us map these processes and create the strategy that we really need? All this work, the technology, it should be independent. It should be about your culture, your people, and your process. We generally hear those 3 terms kind of really coupled together. And then from that, you kind of bring it forward in, does our technology really empower and embolden our team to be successful, right? When we look at this plan and process, this is really where our master librarians come in and our digital strategists, and saying, hey, how do we prepare for a transformation? And is our strategy right? So what is your go-to-market strategy? Have you documented? Have you worked with your C-suite and business teams to figure out how we're going to kind of manage the digital channel? Or do we have brick and mortar? And those could be, what are our milestones? Are we going to have check-ins every month, every quarter, around goals and KPIs? Most importantly, budget. When we ask the CFO, hey, we need X dollars for our budget for this innovation, what kind of metrics are we measuring that against, right? Are we getting executive alignment, and do we have change management plans? Because anything constant is really change. And we have to measure, when things go bad, how do we pivot and take that lesson learned? All this is really the major aspects. When you develop a DAM strategy, that is how we're going to win, how we're going to get there, and can AI make it a little bit easier? See, it allows your users to do what they really want to do, not the mundane tasks of adding metadata to a field. Everyone's got a lot of data in their ecosystem. Let's pull that in an intelligent way, based on some of the features that are out there today, and pull it into your DAM. The next piece, and what what many clients really jump to, is we have a core tactical, potentially critical problem, and they jump right to technology without really looking at their strategy or doing, potentially even any planning at all. Adding technology is a disruptor, but what are you solving for, right? They say, every week there's 65 different apps of generative AI or AI in general that are developed every single week, whether it's ChatGPT, Murph for, say, voiceovers, or Bard, or any of these other AI solutions. Does it make sense to bring that into your ecosystem? And if so, what's the benefit and what's the risk? So if we've done kind of our due diligence around planning process, prep, making sure our data is clean and in line, we understand kind of our workflows and culture, which is very important, we can really look at where we're bringing in additional strategic technologies. Say your DAM vendor does not have a very good AI roadmap, and that's very important to you. Probably need to evaluate it, right? What is the scalability of that DAM? What tactical systems can we bolt in to make sure that we're really bringing benefit to the business, and not just spending money because we think technology is going to solve our problems? Most often that isn't the case. So I would say a careful evaluation of current technology and pulling that forward into what other technologies can benefit us. Map it out and create a plan, present that business case to leadership, and kind of see where that goes. We're obviously happy to help throughout that life cycle. And then once those are identified, how do we start to plan and make these changes? We call that program activation, which is very disruptive in many cases. You have migrations, you have integrations, you have to do training, and all the communication that goes into that process. So this would be, launching the application, focused on user adoption, how these benefit or the AI benefits are going to pull into your business creative marketing teams. That is very tricky. With our publishing client, they really thought about that early and often. And as they're starting to transform their damn program, they're at those stages of, where is AI making sense for us? They're a very structured process, but there is a lot of innovation that can be had in terms of, smart tags or AI detection. So in publishing, did this author actually use AI to write some of his or her book when publishing? That's a monumental risk that they want to calculate, among other different AI capabilities. So once you kind of look at your plan process, your strategy, what technologies you want to deprecate or bring into your stack, and then how we're actually going to implement those, the timeline in which to do it, in the budget, obviously that's very important. Where can we start to learn, pivot, measure, and then adjust as our business changes, users adopt the technology? We're bringing in our SMEs and our leadership to get constant feedback, and what that communication loop is so important. So, kind of pulling all that forward, if we use this health check kind of checklist, if you do need help, reach out to us. But, I really think these previous slides, Jim can kind of pull that forward into what that 360 view is going to be and how that relates to your use cases in business.
Thanks, Ken. That's it's an amazing perspective to hear how a customer has actually started to do this type of work, and helps to understand and underscore that this isn't futuristic thinking. This can be done today. It just takes some process and some thinking and understanding how that content can be brought to bear, and where the dam fits into the scale of the rest of the ecosystem. And all of these new capabilities we've been chatting about, including what your publishing customer was doing, and all of these generative AI capabilities, they're all coming together to bring to life something we at Aprimo have been talking about for nearly a decade in various flavors, and it's called Content 360. Content 360 is this dynamic engine that adds value to all of your ecosystem, all of your applications, and all of your channels, just like the examples on the right of this screen. By leveraging information and insights from all of those systems on the left and funneling it all through this supercharged dam sitting in the middle that is built around effectively managing your content operations. Any organization that's digital heavy understands that without content and all that data, it's virtually impossible to deliver a positive customer experience. So Content 360 is here to help manage the entire content lifecycle in a single AI-powered platform. It helps you plan, manage, collaborate, deliver, and optimize your content experiences all from that single system. Prioritizing a content strategy is vital, irrespective of your focus, be it omnichannel personalization, AI-enhanced brand safety, or tapping into new market opportunities. Adopting a comprehensive 360-degree perspective where content takes center stage aligns seamlessly with a customer-centric approach that many businesses tend to take. They go hand in hand. This strategy is not just about producing more content, it's about leveraging all this data and all the data-driven insights to fuel growth. So wrapping up here, as you are on this DAM journey, it's important to realize that DAM should no longer be considered just about creating, managing, curating, reusing, and distributing assets. Well thought out, your DAM should be the fuel that powers content across your enterprise and beyond. between AI-assisted content creation capabilities, content governance to ensure the right people have access to the right content and tools at the right time, content approvals, including approving AI content or de-risking AI content. The right DAM will help your business with the needs of today and be able to help transform your business for tomorrow. We've touched on a few concepts and innovations that Aprimo has brought to market in the past few months. And frankly, that speed is only increasing. And there will be new ideas in the next weeks and months that will foundationally change the value and the purpose of your DAM. So where do you get started? How do you get started? We've compiled a 5-part definitive guide to future-proof your content operations. You can snap this QR code right on the screen on the bottom left to access these guides and start to understand how to get started if you haven't already, or how to advance if you've already begun. The QR code, there's also a QR code to connect you to Avyre and learn more about how they can help you make the most of your DAM as part of this ecosystem and this Content 360 approach. It's available there on the right. Whether you know it or not, AI is likely already being used on the fringes of your creative operations or through individuals on their own using AI on their own and potentially creating risk in your system. It's critical that as business leaders, you start to get your arms around the usage of AI now. And that doesn't mean squash AI innovation, but start to manage it within the context of content operations and as part of this entire Content 360 approach. So here's our take. Buckle up. 2024 is on the horizon, coming at us fast. If your organization or your existing DAM vendor hasn't begun strategizing on how to harness generative AI within your content operations, or building technologies that allow you to boost your content operations and frankly drive more value to the content and your DAM in the first place, it's time to kick things into gear. This evolution isn't slowing down. It's gaining momentum. Resisting isn't the solution. Saying no is not really an option for long. We need to determine our comfort zone, and we need to navigate this journey collectively. So, guys, team, global friends, let's go unleash the power of content and help drive your businesses forward. So we are starting to see questions come in. Feel free to drop some there in the chat. Please make sure to keep submitting as we start to look through some of these questions and start to answer some of them. So the first question that I'm seeing here, and maybe Ken, you and I can go back and forth on some of these, it's how can a DAM help organizations streamline content distribution and personalization efforts, especially in an omni-channel marketing type of world? And I guess I would start by saying the most important part that a DAM brings to that, obviously, is being that central store of all of the content and all of that, the assets that need to be used for driving those experiences. But more important than just the assets, it's the metadata flexibility that allows the DAM to now start to understand how those assets should be used within those channels, so that when the DAM and the DAM's context and metadata are connected to the channels themselves, there's intelligence in that process. The DAM is sending the content over along with the metadata that says, how should this asset be used in the first place? Good personalization efforts start with metadata density.
Yeah, adding to that, Jim, really it's the modularity of that content. So when you have asset level permissions that Aprimo offers, that gives your team the flexibility of really pulling things together to build a complex object and push it out to that specific person in the endpoint in which they want to engage with your brand, where other DAMs do not have that capability. So modular content, what Jim said, data is key. I always say metadata is the love note to the future. If you don't have it, you're never going to find love, first and foremost, right? But you can't get it out to the people that you need to at the right time, right scenario. So, and then add AI to it. You can do it even faster, intelligently through one single platform, but it is also your ecosystem of I would say your master system bolted in together to make that streamlined process so quick and efficient.
Ken, what about this one? Can you speak more to how you've seen clients, any clients, whether they're DAM clients as well or other clients, who are leveraging AI in helping develop their content strategy in the first place? And I've got some ideas too, but I'd love to see if there's some specific content examples from customers.
Yeah, but in our space, really, we're digital asset management and product information management. So your CPG, retail, and all that. Content strategies differ greatly between, I would say, product and size of companies. Many don't have the resources to be able to do it effectively. So they're really looking to leverage AI to be more intelligent and faster, as well as, adding us into what are we seeing in the market? How are these large billion-dollar companies doing it? But us as a $150 million company, can we compete on that same digital space? Yes. And it always comes back to, do you have the right technology? Do you have buy-in from executives? Have we actually mapped out what we're solving for? Do we have clean data? If we can start to put some of these checkboxes together, we can create that digital strategy to be personalized, to create content faster, right? That is valuable, but also measure if we have a campaign, did that campaign actually be effective? How do we pull that data back into the system and saying, hey, brand marketing teams, this worked, this didn't, pieces of it did, pull that data back together and let's recreate it. AI is starting to help businesses do that. Do you have the team to help kind of accentuate that process? So it is very different across many of our clients. And I think that's probably still going to be the case.
Yeah, and where I went to first immediately was around the metrics. It's around being able to understand what content you got into marketing, what's channels, and what's performing well and not and what's not performing well, because that can then feed back into your DAM to raise awareness of, hey, as we're generating the strategy for next year or the plans or the campaigns for next year, the more I know about what's working this year or last year, the more it's going to help inform the next plan. And so leveraging AI to understand how content is working, generating more data, because again, this is all around generating more metadata density that allows you to be smarter. It's around that. Now, AI tools themselves, some of that are still growing, to your point, and some of it is around skill sets and learning processes. But the foundation to how do you use AI to develop the content strategy is around the data in the first place. Generating more data is going to help inform whatever that strategy should be. I guess the other question then, and we'll wrap up maybe with this one because we're a couple minutes over here, is it seems like this really interesting question. It seems like there are significant opportunities for closer collaboration between data science teams and content operations teams, two teams that typically don't work together very much in large businesses. Are you seeing this collaboration among your clients, or is this largely untapped? And I think it's a great question.
That's a fantastic question. I think it's largely untapped because people don't understand that the data is so important and there's so much of it, they don't even know where to start. And do they have that in-house? Do they need to bring it in through a consulting firm or something of that nature? It's a key question. Many probably are solving for it, unless you're a multi-billion-dollar company that have the resources and budget to do so.
Yeah, I think it's highly untapped as well, and primarily because the two worlds, one's a creative, what is that, left brain world, and one is a data right brain world. And sure, honestly, AI is saying, hey guys, we need this to work together. Again, data is what fuels growth. Content is on the front end of that growth capability, and so the two have to merge, because the data scientists can help you start to back to the other question: how does AI help with developing strategy? Those data scientists are going to give you the data that's going to help you do that. So the reality is you have to find those opportunities to collaborate between the data scientists and the content creative teams to understand what should we be doing, what channels will this work on, things like that. That's what's really going to drive this growth. So great questions. Really appreciate that. We are over time, so I'm going to kind of jump in here to the end. I really want to thank, we had a huge audience for this webinar. I hope it was insightful. Again, we're talking about this new world of moving out of traditional DAMs as storage locations for either final assets or WIPs or works in progress, where the content is actually becoming data. Back to that exact question that was just asked, right? Content is data. Yep. And so it's really evolving into a new space. And we really want to thank you all for joining us. There's going to be a survey that will pop up. Please follow that link. That will allow us to give you the link to this recording so you can share it with others. And it'll also allow us to provide you the AI readiness checklist that Ken talked about. Again, appreciate all you friends joining today. It was a great conversation, Ken. Appreciate you being here. And we look forward to talking to you all soon.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.